In manufacturing, the most critical failures rarely occur on the factory floor. They happen earlier, in the invisible space between a confirmed order and the start of production. This space is filled with interpretation. An order is approved, a quotation becomes a commitment, fulfillment is marked as complete, and then, surprisingly often, the process restarts from scratch. Engineers reinterpret specifications, technologists reevaluate materials, production planners translate commercial intent into operational steps. Despite decades of software development, this handoff remains fragile. Not because people are careless, but because logic is fragmented. Fulfillment is not execution. In most manufacturing systems, fulfillment is treated as an endpoint. Once pricing, availability, and delivery terms are confirmed, the business process is considered complete. Execution is delegated to another layer, often another team, another system, or another interpretation. This separation creates a structural problem. Fulfillment answers what was sold. Execution must determine how it will be made. Between these two states, information loses precision. Parameters become descriptions, rules become assumptions, constraints become tribal knowledge. The result is familiar. Delays between order and production start, inconsistencies between what was sold and what is produced, limited scalability of custom manufacturing. The core insight: execution should be derived, not interpreted. The fundamental issue is not automation. It is where logic lives. If fulfillment is represented as documents, tables, or static records, execution must be interpreted manually. But if fulfillment is represented as computable structure, execution can emerge automatically. This is the shift introduced by parametric systems like BeeGraphy. In such systems, fulfillment is not a summary of decisions. It is a formal state of logic. Materials are not labels. They are parameterized entities with constraints. Services are not options. They are operational paths with dependencies. Production rules are not instructions, they are executable relationships. When fulfillment reaches this level of formalization, execution no longer requires translation from fulfillment state to production action. In a parametric manufacturing system, a fulfilled order already contains everything required for execution. Validated parameters, selected materials, applicable services, production constraints, logical dependencies. Nothing needs to be re-entered, nothing needs to be understood again. Automated production execution begins when this structured fulfillment state is consumed directly by manufacturing workflows. Operations are triggered because conditions are met. Paths are selected because constraints resolve. Resources are allocated because logic permits it. Execution becomes deterministic, not because it is rigid, but because it is computed. Why this changes manufacturing scalability? Custom manufacturing traditionally scales poorly because every order introduces new interpretation. Each variation increases cognitive load. Each exception requires human arbitration. By contrast, when execution is derived from parametric fulfillment logic, variability becomes input, not disruption. Customization becomes repeatable. Scaling depends on computational capacity, not human coordination. The factory no longer waits for instructions, it responds to state. Closing the gap between order and factory, the transition from fulfillment to automated production execution is not a technological upgrade, it is an architectural shift. It replaces interpretation with derivation, documents with logic, manual coordination with formal structure. BeeGraphy demonstrates how this shift can be implemented in practice, not by adding another execution system, but by extending parametric logic all the way to production. When fulfillment is no longer the end of the process, and execution is no longer a leap of faith, manufacturing becomes what it was always meant to be: a continuous, computable system, from parameters to production.